This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Wednesday, the 5th day of October in the year 2022. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting, and here's what we're tracking tonight. As Guyana observed World Teachers Day today, the Guyana Teachers Union issued a call for the hindrances to teacher recognition in the country to be addressed. In a statement, the GTU said teachers are not motivated to stay on the job for long, but the dedicated ones who remain in the country and continue teaching despite the challenges eventually find themselves being forced out of the system. The GTU said teachers can offer more years of service once they are respected and treated fairly, and their jobs are made less burdensome with the provision of better facilities and equipment and better salaries. According to the Teachers Union, scores of teachers have been opting for early retirement and have been moving out of the education system. The union reminded that teachers in Guyana continue to find themselves working on some of the poorest conditions in the Caribbean, with the lowest salaries among Caribbean teachers. The union also said Guyanese teachers are seldom recognized for their contribution to nation building, while noting that the success of students is due to the efforts of the teachers. The GT unit statement also called on the nation's teachers to know their worth, since those that they taught will remember the way their lives were shaped by them. The union said teachers should celebrate today and every day with the hope of there being better days ahead for them. The GTU has been pressing the government for increased salaries and other benefits for teachers, and also for more investments in the classrooms. Many teachers continue to find themselves going into their pockets to pay for teaching material for their classrooms. More news coming up in just a moment.
Man, I've been getting this feeling lately. I don't know where it's coming from. I got this itch to win and win big, and I got to scratch it. Activate, scratch, win big with GTT's Blazing Hot Summer Promotion, which runs from July 1st to September 30th. Activate a data plan or bundle and receive a link to your digital scratch card every Saturday. Tap the link, scratch, and you can be a winner of one of our amazing prizes of electric bikes, TVs, laptops, tablets, food vouchers, and so much more. It's gonna be a blazing hot summer with GTT's Scratch and Win promotion.
Office Max, we're all about customer satisfaction. Whether it's clothing and shoes for the ladies, gents, and kids, or for the latest electronics or hardware appliance, we're always thinking of satisfying you, our dear customers. Now you can shop online at www.giftlandofficemax.com or visit us at the Giftland Mall, where we're happy to serve each and every one of you.
Get in the game with Buster. Win a full gaming setup, Xbox X, gaming chair, gaming speaker and headset, or any of over 60 weekly prizes like Oculus Quest 2, Mini 2 drone, Nintendo Switch, and many more top gaming prizes. Check below for details.
Welcome back. And still with World Teachers Day, while making it clear that his government is committed to doing much more for the nation's teachers, President Irfan Ali this morning said much has been achieved by his administration for teachers over the past 2 years. He said teachers are now benefiting from a better working environment and are also seeing improvements to their salaries and non-salary benefits under his government's watch. The president made the remarks in a statement to mark World Teachers Day, which is observed on the 5th of October every year.
But as a government, as I said, we are doing our bit in ensuring that we give our teachers the best possible opportunities. And over the last 2 years, we have engaged in a very aggressive platform in improving the welfare for teachers, in improving the conditions for teachers, in giving them more opportunities, better opportunities, giving them a better environment in which they can work, and supporting them.
There have been calls for more to be done to improve the working conditions and earnings of the nation's teachers. While more scholarships have been made available to teachers, many of them complain still that even with their qualifications, they are still not paid well. The president said more than 2,000 teachers are currently enrolled and are studying under the Gold Scholarship Program. And more than 5,000 teachers are also studying at higher learning institutions.
As we move forward, we are working on establishing the platform, putting hundreds of millions of dollars to ensure that we have 100% access to training for all teachers across the system. That is every single teacher across the system through the investment we are making in the online training module and manual and graduating, transforming our Teachers Training Institute into a more nimble and flexible organization.
Additionally, President Ali said his government has corrected a historical wrong, where training teachers were given a stipend of just $11,000. He said those training teachers are now on the payroll and are earning more.
So all of this, in all of these areas, we have made substantial progress in their personal development, personal upliftment, in creating educational opportunities for our teachers.
To ease the burden of teachers, the president said that he has asked the Ministry of Education to look at ways to provide clerical support to schools, which will see teachers having more teaching time and less time to do clerical duties in the classroom. The United States government has indicated that it is in support of a peaceful resolution to the ongoing border controversy between Guyana and Venezuela. As Guyana quietly observed the 123rd anniversary of the signing of the arbitral award between Guyana and Venezuela, which set out the land boundaries, the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for the Western Hemisphere said the arbitral award of 1899 did determine the land boundary. Ambassador Brian Nichols in a tweet said the 1899 arbitral award determined the land boundary between Guyana and Venezuela and should be respected unless or until otherwise determined by a competent legal body. On Tuesday, Guyana's Ministry of Foreign Affairs said it is looking forward to have the matter settled once and for all by the International Court of Justice, noting that the decisions will be binding on both parties. The government said Guyana brought the matter to the court in an application submitted in March of 2018, and the court confirmed its jurisdiction over Guyana's claims, rejecting Venezuela's objections in a judgment in December of 2020. Venezuela's position is that it prefers to resolve the issue through dialogue, although dialogue has not worked for more than 2 decades. Although Caracas says it is also committed to a peaceful resolution of the matter, in recent years there has been several moves on Venezuela's part, which have been seen as intimidation. Days after the Rams Logistics Company moved to the courts for a judicial review of its application for that local content license to operate in the oil and gas sector, the Guyana Revenue Authority today announced that it has instituted fraud-related charges against the company. In a statement this afternoon, the GRA said its law enforcement unit recently completed investigations into the declarations made by Rams Logistics and found that the company has been flouting local laws. The GRA said the investigations determined, among other things, that during the period 2021 to 2022, the company made several untrue declarations to the Revenue Authority. GRA said as it continues to operate within its mandate and by allowing a level playing field for legitimate business and for the collection of revenue, persons and companies should comply and do away with fraudulent conduct. The organization said that companies specifically must comply and bring their businesses into compliance with the country's tax, trade, and border laws. This is not the first time that Rams Logistics has found itself in the crosshairs of the Guyana Revenue Authority. Earlier this year, the company settled another tax matter with the Revenue Agency. Rams Logistics has been at odds with the local content secretariat also over its application for a local content license to continue to operate in the oil and gas sector. The company's initial application was denied, but then it resubmitted the application after the secretariat pointed to various deficiencies in its original application. Since then, however, the company has been waiting on a response. It's been over 4 months and other companies have been granted their license. Rams Logistics is one of the largest logistics companies involved in the oil and gas sector and has won a number of supply contracts from the oil companies.
counting way from region 1 to region 10, the whole country.
Well, this serves to inform you that I have just completed the census, which is ongoing in 2022. It is my view that a census is important. It will allow us to understand the demographics in Guyana, among other things. And therefore, it is in that context, I think it is opposite that I say to people, be part of the census, ensure you're counted. It will contribute to the kind of data that is needed to do the kinds of analysis and projections in a society like ours. And if properly used, it can contribute to good governance.
Everyone in the country, we counting.
Doors and windows, Republic. Rooms and more, Republic. A brand new rug on the floor. Come to Republic, come to Republic. Whatever you need, you got it. Come through and get your mortgage. Live the dream with Republic.
95 to 100% financing, 50% waiver of negotiation fees, plus one lucky person gets their mortgage paid in full. Turn someday into today. Talk to Republic Bank about your low-cost mortgage today.
Let's tell you now that Finance Minister Dr. Ashley Singh has challenged the National Insurance Scheme to reintroduce a system of issuing annual statements to contributors to allow for the detection of any possible gaps in payments. Speaking at the National Insurance Scheme's General Assembly, which was held yesterday in observance of its 53rd anniversary, Minister Singh said in addition to the statements issued to employers within the public and private sectors, the insurance scheme should also issue every contributor with an annual statement.
As a matter of fact, every contributor should get a statement every year. Every contributor should get a statement every year. Don't wait till they're 60. Let them know now, this is your, so they can go and start fixing it while they are 40, so they got 20 years to fix it. You follow me? When I go to these outreaches and I see a 40-something-year-old person come in, or a 30-something-year-old person come in and they say they want to fix their statement because they got missing contributions, I always commend them. I always commend them. I say thank you very much for coming now and not waiting until you're 60. Because when you're 60, I don't know how we can find these 30-year-old, 40-year-old records. You follow me? Every contributor should get a statement once a year and be encouraged to regularize and fix any that they observe, so they can go immediately to their employer and say, hold on a second, man. You are telling me that you are deducting NIS, but look, the NIS is telling me here that for the last 52 weeks, I only got 12 weeks credited, but I've been working with you for 52 weeks.
The finance minister also told the board, the management and the staff at the NIS that contributors, the sick and the elderly, must be treated with respect as they utilize the services of the NIS.
And so when a pensioner comes into an NIS office, we have a long-standing obligation, an obligation that was contemplated and conceptualized by our predecessors several generations ago, by our predecessors at the turn of our independence. We have an obligation to serve the most vulnerable in our society in a particular, and by particular I mean in a compassionate manner, driven by the high ideals of public service. Nobody walking into an NIS office should be treated with disrespect or contempt.
The finance minister also said it is also important to reduce the backlog of cases before the NIS. He said there were at least 2 cases in which pensioners were waiting for more than 30 years each to receive their NIS pension. Others, he said, have been on the waiting list for 20 years and 10 years, and that is unacceptable. The finance minister said there are well-established protocols that can be utilized to resolve issues that may bar a claimant from receiving his or her benefits. He explained that where an issue cannot be resolved by a manager or the general manager, it can be sent to the board for consideration or the board of appeal, or even his office as the minister responsible for finance. Opposition Member of Parliament Natasha Singh Lewis, who overlooks the education sector for the APNU-AFC opposition, has decried the move by the Ministry of Education to have tents erected in some schools to accommodate students because of overcrowding. On Monday, as grade 7 students turned out for their classes, some schools were faced with the problem of finding additional space to accommodate the increased number of students. The Education Ministry said schools and their Parent Teachers Association were consulted. Military-style tents were set up at some schools to tackle the overflow. However, the opposition believes the Ministry of Education should have been better prepared.
The PPP's incompetence, negligence, and a lack of careful planning have resulted in this unfortunate situation. It has also made manifest the extent to which the physical infrastructure of our schools has deteriorated.
The Minister of Education, Priya Manik Chand, has explained that the decision to erect the tents was made after consultations with parents at the affected schools. Member of Parliament Singh Lewis said it would be better to rent buildings to accommodate the students rather than to have them under the tents.
To compound an already unacceptable situation, students are being placed in tents that are grossly inadequate in lighting and ventilation. This is being done in extremely hot conditions, a clear violation of the non-academic standards of the Ministry of Education.
The Education Minister has also indicated that the overcrowding issue is an indication that more students are now returning to school. But the opposition MP is contending that the situation is as a result of the ministry being completely ill-prepared.
This incompetence has manifested itself in the form of inadequate furniture, overcrowding, non-functioning sanitary blocks for the teachers and students, insufficient classroom space, lack of printed pedagogical material for teachers, and insufficient funds for classroom aid.
Tents have been erected at a number of secondary schools to deal with the overflow. Some of the tents are fully air-conditioned. Minister of Public Works Juan Edgil has again made it clear that squatters who are occupying land along Independence Boulevard in Old Boys Town will have to vacate the government reserves and make way for the government's $1.4 billion enhancement project. Meeting with some of the affected residents at his office yesterday, Minister Edger reminded them that Independence Boulevard is a government reserve, and permission was never granted to build on the land, although some have occupied the area for decades. He said he's laying down some clear principles, that the land that they are dwelling on belongs to the state, and it is the government's reserve, whether they have been there for 30, 40, or 50 years. He said they should consult with any lawyer in the country, or they can take a firm of lawyers, but they cannot get prescriptive rights on the government reserve. While some persons have moved from the area, the minister met with others to find out why they are still there. Some made it known to the minister that they have no place to go. In response, he said there is not much that the government can do other than to provide lands for them to build on. He said he's not offering any money and any inducement to move. He said the human factor is that people were living there because they did not have any land, and now there may be a way to get land for them, but there will be no money offered.
We counting we from region 1 to region 10, the whole country.
We've just completed our census interview. It's quite a simple process. Whenever the team comes to your home, kindly cooperate and get the interview done, because it's also important for the information to be available to us as a government to plan and implement our programs and projects for the development of Guyana, a development that you will benefit from.
We counting we from region 1 to region 10, the whole country.
Food Max Supermarket, located on the ground floor at the Giftland Mall, is your one-stop shop for all your grocery needs. We stock a variety of imported frozen meat and food products, fresh produce, and pet supplies, freshly made bread. Rotisserie chicken and patties are also available daily. Shop in comfort today at Food Max and let our courteous staff assist you in satisfying your shopping needs. Food Max, the fresh food specialist.
Rooms and more, Republic, a brand new rug on the floor. Come to Republic, come to Republic. Whatever you need, you got it. Come through and get your mortgage. Live the dream with Republic.
95 to 100% financing, 50% waiver of negotiation fees, plus one lucky person gets their mortgage paid in full. Turn someday into today. Talk to Republic Bank about your low-cost mortgage today.
Get in the game with Buster. Win a full gaming setup, Xbox X, gaming chair, gaming speaker and headset, or any of over 60 weekly prizes like Oculus Quest 2, Mini 2 drone, Nintendo Switch, and many more top gaming prizes. Check below for details.
Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up, fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up. Protect your fuel system, boy. High mileage and performance, boy.
Guy Oil Super 95 gasoline gives you more reasons to drive and is available at 56 service stations nationwide. For affordable price, high performance, and high mileage, choose Guy Oil's Super 95 gasoline.
Fuel it up and drive.
Across the region tonight, Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador has denied that his administration has been spying on journalists and opponents after a report surfaced that the phones of at least 3 people investigating human rights abuses were infected with the Pegasus spyware. Digital watchdog Citizen Lab said on Sunday it had found the phones belonging to 2 journalists and the human rights activists to be infected with the Pegasus spyware between 2019 and 2021. The Mexican president won office in 2018 after an election campaign in which he pledged to put an end to the government spying on its citizens, and later said he would not use the Pegasus software. Pegasus belongs to an Israeli spyware company, which typically only sells the software to governments or law enforcement. When asked whether he knew about the purchase of Pegasus, which can be used to remotely break into phones, the president said it's not true that journalists or opponents were being spied on. The government of Jamaica is to update Jamaica's laws to combat the prevalence of Molly drugs in the society. The Prime Minister Andrew Holness said the move is to help cauterize the problem and hold perpetrators accountable. His stance was communicated at the monthly meeting of the National Security Council. The meeting was chaired by the Prime Minister. A statement from his office indicated that the council received a presentation from the National Council on Drug Abuse in Jamaica, which highlighted the increased use of the drug and other substances and their deviant effect on young people, particularly coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic. It was pointed out that the recent situational assessment undertaken back in May highlighted a growing trend in the use of Molly, particularly among the youth and young adults. The NCDA highlighted that the impact of the drug has manifested in increased socially risky and physically dangerous behaviors. And finally tonight, international news. The U.S. government's decision to send more military aid to Ukraine increases the danger of a direct military clash between Russia and the West, Moscow has warned. The BBC reports that Russia's ambassador to the U.S. said it was an immediate threat to Moscow, describing the U.S. as a participant of the conflict. Earlier, the U.S. announced another $625 million in military aid to Ukraine. Advanced U.S. weaponry has been credited with helping Ukraine build momentum against occupying Russian forces. Ukrainian troops have made significant advances in the country's northeast and south in recent weeks. The latest U.S. hardware includes another 4 of the high-precision multiple rocket systems. In all, Washington has committed nearly $17 billion in military support for Ukraine. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley, reporting and encouraging you to stay safe.